Good evening, Yarnies. How is everybody this evening? Good evening, Yarnies. How is everybody this evening? I always forget to turn my own volume down so I don't hear that playback. Anyway, got that figured out. So hopefully everybody's having a good weekend. And we're going to get right into tonight's little tutorial. We're doing overlay mosaic crochet. For anybody who doesn't know what that is, here's an example. And the stitch I'm going to show you is the Apache tier stitch. That's what this is here. And let's turn our music down slightly. Okay. So, with overlay mosaic crochet, you're going to be working right to left. And when you get to the end, you are going to cut your strand and start. You're not going to flip over. So you're always going to be working on the right side of the fabric. Also, you're going to be working with one color at a time per row. So you don't got to change colors in mid-row. And the only stitches you're going to be doing are either single crochets, double crochets, and occasionally a chain stitch. The examples I'm going to show tonight will not have chain stitches. They're just single crochets and double crochets. And that is how, using these techniques and these stitches in certain places, will get this effect. And this is just one example. Again, this is the Apache tiers pattern. And there are two ways of doing the Apache tiers. If you notice, each row is a different color. And my tiers go up and are diagonally to that, in that direction. You could do it in the other direction. The example we're going to do tonight will be in the other direction. Again, you can make up your own patterns. They're pretty easy to come up with. And if you see here on the screen, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to put it right here in the center of the screen. This is the Apache tiers pattern. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a few rows without worrying about color change. So the very bottom rows, there's 4 rows that are going to be in our neutral color. And for most mosaic crochet, whatever your pattern will be, you zoom out a little bit. So whatever your pattern is going to be, you're going to add a stitch on either end. Actually, take that back. That's not always true. There's going to be a stitch on either end that is going to be your border stitch, and you're going to do something slightly different than you will in the main part of your pattern. So to read the pattern, and this is just an example, you're going to read it right to left, always right to left. If you're left-handed, you're going to do it left to right, obviously. So I've got 34 squares on my pattern. I'm going to make this really big so we all can see. And we're only going to focus on the bottom part right now. As we go, we will move the pattern. And while we're here, I'm going to move some things around. I can do it here as we go. So we're worrying about this yellowish cream color on the pattern. There are 4 rows. We've got 34 stitches or 44 blocks across. So we're going to end up doing 34 stitches. They're all single crochets. So if we know anything about single crochet, your chain will be your number of your stitches plus an additional one. That's your turning chain. So our pattern is 34 wide. You can make this whatever wide you want. So I'm going to end up doing 35 chains. And we all know how to do our chains if we're crocheters. So we're going to just get 35 chains. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. That 35th chain is our turning chain. And what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet into each chain. Obviously, then not that very first one, because you skipped that very first one. And we're just going to single crochet all the way across. Pretty basic. Normally in Mosaic crochet, your pattern won't really start showing up until you're at least your third row. I've got an extra couple rows just to set everything off. This is the only time you're going to go in one direction and come back. When we get to the end of our row, we are going to finish off and cut. Even though, hey there, Grammy, even though we are not going to change colors, we are still going to finish off the row and we will cut our yarn. There is a version of Mosaic crochet, which I'm not really familiar with, called inlay. And I think you will flip your work. That's all right. It's all right if you make a typo. So again, all I'm doing is I'm single crocheting into my chain and our little test pattern. I'm going to sneeze. Hey there, Upcycly. So our little test pattern is 34 stitches across. Mosaic crochet patterns charts that I have made up are easy to understand because there's no weird symbols that you have to figure out if you're not familiar with crochet stitch symbols in charts. If you know how to do a single crochet and a double crochet, you're good. Alrighty, so I've got my 34 singles, and I'm at the end here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish. So I'm going to chain one, and I'm going to cut. I'm going to leave a good enough tail, pull through, and that is our first row. The brightness is a little bright here. Hopefully everybody can see this. So now we're not going to flip. We're going to go back to the very beginning, to the right-hand side if you're right-handed. And I'm going to start with a standing double crochet. You can join however you want. You're going to join into that very first stitch. I'm just going to start with a standing single crochet. Now, your very first stitch and your very last stitch are going to be your border stitches. And what I mean by that, you're going to go in under both loops, however you join. So if you join with just a slip stitch join, if you do a standing single, however you join, that's fine. So I did a standing single crochet. That's the border. All of the other ones except the very last one, you're going to do back loop only single crochet. So only the back, all the way across, except the last one. And you will do this on every row, regardless of the color or whatever you're working on, your first and last will be a standard stitch. If you're doing single crochet, which most of this is single crochet, if you're doing the whole row of single crochet, your first and last one will be in through both loops. All the rest, back loop only. Pretty much in overlay mosaic crochet, if you, with the exception of your border stitches, if you're doing a single crochet, you're doing back loop only. Again, you're not flipping. You're always going to work, if you're right-handed, right to left. If you're left-handed, you're going to work left to right. I'm just going across, and each stitch is getting... Would it not be easier to turn your work? Okay, if you turn your work, the problem is you won't get the effect. When we get to the 5th row, to do this here, this drop down, you see how we've got this green here and it drops down? That drop down is a double crochet. And when we get to it, we're going to go we're going to go 2 rows below. If you do that, you're not going to have the pattern on the front. The pattern on the front is the right side. This is the back side. So if you end up flipping, every other row is going to be the front side. You're not going to get the desired look. There is a version of mosaic crochet. It's called inlay crochet, and I think you do turn your work. For overlay, this is overlay crochet. You're not going to turn your work. I'm at my last stitch, so I'm just going to do a regular. Go through both loops. And that kind of just like finishes off the edge. And I'm going to chain, cut, pull through. Okay, that was row number 3, right? No, that was row number 2. That was 2. I'm going to modify this pattern here. I have 4 rows in the pattern, but I'm only going to do 3. So I'm going to do 1 more row. I'm not going to do 4 rows of this. I'm going to shorten it by 1 row. Just for ease. Just so it's easier to show this. So again, you're going to start at the right-hand side. I'm right-handed. And I'm going to start with a standing single. You can start however you want. And go through both loops. And again, this row will be back loop only. It's pretty standard. The next row we'll change a color and we will start our pattern. Takes me a little bit longer to do back loop only, just because I'm so used to doing through both loops. I could do those real fast, but this I just have to slow down, make certain I only get that back loop. The reason you're doing back loop only is when we do our next color to do the pattern, we're going to utilize some of those front loops of the rows that we have already done. And that is where the double crochets come into play. So again, your single crochets will always, with the exception of the border, your single crochets will be back loop only. What is the difference between a standing single and a normal single? Standing single, I'll show you here in a second. Basically, a standing single or a standing double or a standing half double, any of the standings, it's when you go to join a new color, you don't have to worry about chaining up. Because normally, if you just do like a slip stitch join, like you normally would, you would have to chain however many to, hold on one second, oh, I didn't go through the right thing here. Oh, yeah, I did. No, I didn't. Okay, let me go through both of those. I'll answer your question here in a second. All right. So I've done my third row. Again, my pattern has 4 rows. I'm just going to shorten it by 1. So I'm going to show the difference. So I'm going to change colors. We're going to go over to our pink. So if we're going to join the very common traditional way of joining, you put, and there's many different ways of doing it, put your hook in, bring a loop through, whoops, and then you're going to chain 1 and then do your single crochet. You don't have to worry about that chain if you're doing a standing. So if we do a standing, and it's with a single crochet, you're not going to see it as much. With the taller stitches, you will. So with a standing, we're going to put a slip knot on our hook with our new yarn. So we got our slip knot on our hook. We're going to go into the stitch. Go into the stitch. Yarn through. And then yarn through both. And then that way, that looks like the top. And I know the camera angle and the lighting is kind of difficult to see, but that looks exactly, yeah, if I bring it up any closer, it's going to make it worse. But that is going, let me see if I can zoom in. There, you can kind of see a little bit better. Hey, Seagam. So with the standing, this looks like, and again, I've only done 1 stitch. It looks like, because it is, like any other single crochet. Because if you end up, like I showed before, if you put your hook through, bring the loop, and you just have a loop now. And then what you're going to need to do is you're going to have to chain 1 up to get the height. Because whenever we turn, so we're doing regular, ordinary, basic rows, you get to the end of the row, you chain 1 if your next stitch for the next row is going to be single crochets. You chain 2. If you're doing half doubles, you chain 3 for doubles, etc. So we'd have to chain up 1 to get that height. And you're going to have this chain here on the edge that might look a little weird. It's all personal preference. All personal preference. Alrighty. So I'm going to do my standing single. And that corresponds, and I don't know if you can see here, I'm going to move this over a little bit. We don't need to see the whole pattern. But if you see here where it says row number 5, I'm trying to make this so we can see everything. There's a pink square. There's a pink square. Yeah, you forgot about the cool down. There's a pink square. That pink square, we just did that stitch. So that pink square is our single crochet. Again, each block in the chart is 1 stitch. Now, to the left of that pink square, there's an X, and then below it is a pink square. Not to confuse, don't worry about the row below that we didn't have a pink square. We're going to add that pink square on top of our work. That's why it's called overlay, because it lays over it. Let me zoom back out because it's a little blurry. So what we're going to do now is the very first one on the very right hand side, that pink square we've done. Now we're going to go over to the next one. And we're going to have an add here in a minute. But before we go to the add, what we're going to do, anytime you see an X, that's a double crochet. And when you double crochet, apart from yarning over, you're going to drop down 2 rows. So you're not going to go into the the row that you normally would stitch in. You would go in the next row down. But when we do that, and actually, you know what? We're going to go to add. I don't want to end up doing this and then have to worry about the add. So when we come back from add, I'm going to recap. I'm going to start over explaining what this is. So hold on 1 second. I will be, well, a couple minutes. I'll be right back. And welcome back, everybody. Thank you for sitting through that ad break. Dan says, I crochet, so I'm trying to absorb as much as this as my brain will let me, regardless if I remember it later or not. That's all right. Also, if you don't remember it, I do have the YouTube channel, so all of this will be uploaded to the channel after the stream. So where we left off, we've got our single crochet in our first stitch, and we've gone through both loops of the row below, like you normally would, like a normal, ordinary crochet, single crochet. Either if you do a normal or a standing, it's still done the same way. You watch these streams and still don't remember everything. See, game, you don't crochet, but that's okay. So back to our chart. So the next over from our pink square, and you know what? I'm going to change this real quick so it's easier to see. I'm going to move that off screen, and I am going to bring on this. It's just how the thing works that I can end up probably showing. You can see my mouse move it a little bit better here. So we just did here where it says number 5. Actually, that's not what we need. We're going to zoom in. We're going to make it a little bit easier for everyone to see. So we just did, I don't know how that helped, but we just did the little pink square that's next to the number 5. So that's this right here. And again, my lighting, I'm sorry that it's a little washed out. I don't know why it's so washed out. I haven't changed my lighting. Let me see if that might help. Not really. So now we're going to go to this X here that's directly to the left of it. An X means you're going to do a double crochet. So any other square on the pattern is a single crochet. X's are double crochets. And that's usually standard on a mosaic crochet pattern. If you come across one, an X will mean a double. So what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over. And instead of going into the row below that you normally would, you're going to drop down a row below that. And I'm using light yarn. I don't know why you can't see. So we're going to drop down, not the row we normally would work in, but one below it. But we're going to go into that loop, that front loop of that stitch, because the back loop was used to do the single crochet. So that is why single crochets are in back loops. Front loops are reserved for any double crochets you may do. So what we're going to do is we're going to go skip that first row, one row below, go in through the loop from the bottom. Oh, need to show it on camera. Forgot that chart was in the way. Again, this lighting. So we're going to go 2 rows below, so not the one, but the one below that. Go in, bring up the loop, and then finish your double crochet like you normally would. Now, we look on the back here. We're covering up. Since we dropped down, we didn't go into that row. We went one row below. You are going to cover up and skip that one stitch. So your stitch counts are going to be the same, because if not, you're going to end up increasing and have an issue. So now the next stitch will be a single crochet. So we're not going to go into this stitch here that's directly behind that double crochet. We're going to do it in the next stitch. And remember, single crochets are back loop only. So you're going to do that one there. And then our pattern, even though the one next to it, it's a green square, we're still going to do pink. It's because when we do the next row, it's going to be green. That green double crochet will come across this and cover it up. The pattern, the chart, is just what it's going to look like. Doesn't mean that's the stitch that you do. I know it's a little complicated. So the way I have my pattern, after we do a double crochet for this pattern, we're going to have 7. Let me hit double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There'll be 7 single crochets. So that's 1. And then the next one will be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I wish they would show up a lot better. Let me do something real quick. Let me fix my lighting. That's not going to help. Oh, that's really not going to help. There. I think that might be a little bit better. Yeah. Sorry about that, everybody. So if anybody wants me to recap this, I can, now that we have better lighting. I can always take this out and redo it. So again, we had our first stitch was our single crochet. The next stitch in our pattern had the X, and that means we're doing a double. So we're going to drop down 2 rows. So not in the row, the immediate row that we normally stitch in, 1 row below, just for visual accessibility. The words on the right back screen are difficult to read because the text is a shade of blue on a blue background. And I'm not, wait. Above my head where it says Mosaic Crochet, is that what you're referring to? That's just a blue text on like oranges and yellows. Words on the right back screen. Difficult to read because the text is a shade of blue on a blue background. Or are we talking about? So, I can't show it. So, those are difficult to read. Is that better now that I made them larger? Oh, the B right back. Okay, I didn't make that one. One of my longtime you mean one of my followers ended up making that one, and I don't know how to make those animations and such. Sorry that it's a little difficult to read. Alrighty, so back to this. We've done our single crochet in our very first stitch, which is the border, so we go through both loops. The next one we're doing a double, so we're going to drop down 2 rows below and go through that front loop of that row for that stitch. So it's right here aligned. And then the next 7 are single crochets, and single crochets are back loop only. This pattern can be done with as many numbers as you want. I just chose 7. You could do 4, you could do 9, you could do whatever number you want. It's just whatever interval that you want these little drop down stitches to be spaced between. It's all up to you. I just picked a number. So we've got 7 here. And now, if you look here on that pink row, row number 5, which is the one that's mostly pink, there's another X. That means we're doing a double. So we're going to yarn over. We're not going to go into this stitch. Whoops. We're not going to go into this stitch. We're going to drop the same column. We're just going to go 1 row below. We're going to go under, go through that front loop, and just do your regular double crochet. And now, sometimes it helps. I always look in the back, and I find that stitch there. That's the one we just kind of covered up. We're not going to go in that. We're going to go into the next one. And the next 7 are single crochets. And single crochets in overlay mosaic crochet are back loop only. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So as you can see here, we haven't changed colors in this row. And I know I'm using a pink yarn, it's kind of light, but we're not changing colors. But what we're doing is every so often, whatever interval you are, your double crochet is going to drop down and cover up that stitch from the rows below. When we add the pink, the green, and the blue, which you can kind of see it here in this example, there's more of a contrast. It does the exact same thing. You're going to cover up. Like for instance, this row here with this green, this double crochet is covering up that one pink single crochet from the row below. So back to our pattern. We're now at our third X, which I'm going to move. Oops. So we're at our third X, and an X means a double crochet. So you're going to yarn over, and you're going to drop down 2 rows below, so not the first one, but the second one down. Just think of it this way, and even regular crochet, double crochet is about twice the height of a single. That's why they call it double. Well, that's one of the reasons I guess they call it double. So you're going, instead of into 1 row, you're going down 2 rows. And now my pattern has 7 singles between doubles. Oh, so that means I'm going to skip the one that we covered up. So we don't want to have one behind it. You don't want to go into the stitch that's behind that double crochet. You want to go to the next one. And my pattern has 7. So we have 7 singles. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So what we've done now, we have our first double crochet here, which, let me get out of the lights over towards my right, so I don't want to have too much light. So there's a double there, there's a double here, and I have another double, and now I'm ready to do my 4th double, which is all the way over here on the left-hand side of the pattern. Oops. It's this one here. I've just moved the pattern over because it's all not going to fit on my screen. So again, we're going to double crochet. An X means a double. So instead of the row right below, we're going to go down 1 more. The key thing just to remember, single crochets are back loop only. Double crochets are in front loops. So now I can do 7 more, because that's our interval for this pattern. We're going to skip the one that is behind that double. So if we move that double crochet forward, there's a stitch right there. We're going to skip that one. And in the next 7, we're going to do singles. Again, they're back loop only. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 of these drop down stitches of these double crochets. And the pattern is called Apache tiers, and these are called, in this pattern, they're called tiers. And then when we get to, I think my written pattern might be a little off. I might have made a mistake somewhere, but anyway, that's fine. It's still going to work here. So we've done 7. 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So now we're going to do a double crochet, skip down so it's 2 rows below. 1, 2. The second row. And I'm going to do my double. Whoops. Do a double. Now I'm out here at the end, and again, the ends are border stitches, So we're going to do a single crochet in this example because we just did a double. So we're going to go through both loops of that. So that is that row. I'm going to chain one, and the reason I chain one, and I do this on all, when I finish off any row, I chain one, I cut, and I still have the chain one there, and now I'm not touching the yarn, not touching any of that tail, and this can be done on any type of crochet. I'm going to take the hook, and when I pull that hook, that chain one is going to come out, and that is going to help with our knot, and you just pull it snug, and it's not going to come unraveled. That's just a tip that you can use on any crochet, is do that little extra chain one. Alrighty, so now we're going to go change colors. We're going to go to our green. When we get done this, I'm not going to do the entire pattern. I went to, I don't know how many rows going over and over and over again. I'll just do a couple of these. It's the same thing. You just keep changing. When I get done this, we will do a different mosaic crochet pattern that I don't have a sample for, but I have a chart for it. So I'm starting with a standing single. Again, you can start with your, however you want to start your row. And let's move my pattern back over. And I'm right here, that green square, right above between the blue and the pink. Yeah, I'm into this green square. And it's at the edge, so I'm going to go through both loops of the stitch below. So I've got my single. And again, everything is single unless there's an X. And singles, besides the edges, are back loop only. So I'm going to put a single here. So that's our first two stitches. And our third stitch in our pattern has an X on that row. So that means we're going to yarn over. We're going to not go into the pink row. We're going to go into the off-white row and into that front loop. Let me just move my, into that front loop that's right there of that off-white. That's an off-white one. And we're covering up that pink stitch. So there's the pink stitch. We're covering it up. We're going to ignore it. And then we're going to go into the next stitch. And my interval, again, for this pattern is 7 between doubles. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 is right above that double crochet. And now we're at the next X on the green row, this green row here. I don't know how well the cursor's showing up. I can't really make the cursor any bigger. So the next X, well, the next stitch is an X. That means it's double crochet. And we're not going to go into the pink. We're going to drop down to the cream color and do our double crochet. And then we're going to ignore the one we dropped down over that we skipped. We're ignore that. And then in the next 7, each get a double. Each get a single. And again, singles are back loop only. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Let me lay this out. Hopefully you can see the pink. I know it's kind of light and blending in. Maybe if I move it a little further away from the light. You got the pink here. That's a double crochet. And the next double crochet over to the left is the green. Even though the rows are changing colors, the double crochets will change colors too as you go across. But they're going to go diagonally because you're going up a row and over a stitch. So green is up 1 row from the pink, and the double crochet is 1 stitch to the left of the pink. If that makes any sense. And I really don't need the pattern anymore for this pattern for Apache Tears, because I've established the pink row, and I know that my double crochets are one stitch to the left of a double crochet of the previous row, and I know there's 7 singles in between doubles. So once you get that first row of tiers established, all you have to do is keep track of colors for this pattern. Other mosaic patterns, that's not always true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. It doesn't help that my work curls because, as I've said many times on this stream, I'm a tight hooker. And if you're a tight hooker, you are going to get some curling. Alrighty. Let me just double check that I did 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oops, I might have miscount. Oh, hold on. Oh, no. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I didn't put a double crochet next right here. I didn't do my tier. What I was just talking about, don't need my pattern. I do need my pattern. So there's our double crochet. Again, we're going to skip the one that the double crochet is hiding. So if you flip it over, there's one behind. You skip you. And then the next 7 are singles. And like I said, singles are back loop only in overlay mosaic crochet. It's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And I split the yarn. There we go. And now the next one will be a double. Hey, Crojo Mojo. Grammy wanted a meme tonight. I sent you one. Have fun. You're headed to bed. Okay. Alrighty. So, with that being said, we're going to take a little break from this. Whoopsies. Doopsies. Okay. My whole thing. Anyway, so we're going to do the meme of the stream. We haven't done the meme of the stream in a long time because Crojo hasn't been here. So, here's the meme of the stream. How to kidnap me. A white van with spray painted free yarn inside. Hold on a second. I wasn't ready for this. I was not ready. Is that my van? No, that's how somebody's going to kidnap me. I'm not giving away my free yarn. You're gone. Oh, bye, Grammy. Thank you, Crojo, even though she probably has already gone to bed. Anyway, back to our pattern. Okay. Good night. I'm glad you were able to pop in. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to show up in that van and say you get in. I have free yarn that will last you for ages. Yeah, either free yarn or free lemon Oreos, and I'll be in that van. Alrighty. So we've done our 7 singles. Again, they're back loop only. Now we're ready to do a double crochet. And again, you skip down to the second row down. And in the front loop of that row is where you do the double. Now I'm nearing the end. Well, not to the end. We will drive across the country eating our lemon Oreos. Sure. So we're going to skip that stitch because, again, it's hidden by that double crochet. You're not going to see it. So there's no sense in putting anything in there. And if you do put a stitch into that stitch, you're going to increase and you're not going to have a square piece of, you're going to increase. You're not going to have a rectangle. So now the next 7, again, my interval is 7. The next 7 will be single crochets. I'm not even counting because I know I go until I get to the double. And when I get to the double, the next stitch after that will be a double. And we're going to have an add. So I will be right back. And welcome back, everybody. Again, thank you for sitting through that ad break. So wherever at ad break, I started my next row with this blue color. and I did a single. Let's look at our pattern. Oopsies. I was changing the pattern. This is a program that I've used many times on the stream. It's called Stitch Fiddle. So I came up with this pattern earlier today. So this row here where we have these blue squares, row number 7 here, I put in the first 3 stitches. So we've got our edge, whoops, lamp falling. We've got our first border or edge stitch, and then the next 2. So now the pattern, once there's an X there, and I know Apache tiers are gonna all be lined up diagonally, so I know where the next one will go, one to the left of the previous row. So that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna yarn over. We're not gonna go in the green row, we're gonna go in the pink row now. Go through that front loop of that stitch and do our double. Again, skip the one that's behind that double, and in the next 7, do singles. And again, singles are only back loop. And then we're going to continue that. So I've got our 7, then the next one will be a double. So we're not going to go into the green row. We're going to go 1 row down, which is the pink row in my case. Go into that front loop of that pink stitch and do our double, because it extends 1 row further because it is a double crochet. It's taller than a single. Again, skip the one that's behind there, and the next 7 are all singles. Hopefully, this makes some sort of sense. I know I should have picked different colors, even though these colors usually are pretty good on camera. For some reason, they're getting very washed out today. So I just did my double, and now I got to do 7 singles. Again, we're skipping that 1 stitch that's behind the double. Now I can do a double. So not in the green, but 1 row below into the pink row. And do our double. And now we have 7 singles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And we're at the end of the row, so I'm going to go through both loops of that stitch. And you'll notice that our double crochets or our tiers, each row, they're moving over 1 spot. So that's why in the pink row, we had 1 stitch here, 1 single stitch to the right of our double. The green we had 2, the blue we had 3, and then so on. And it'll get to the point where if we look at our pattern, I'm just going to show the pattern. You're going to have all of these stitches go up to row number 11. You'll end up having 7 singles, and then on row 12, there'll be a double. It'll drop down. I'm not going to go that far tonight, but that's how you can kind of see. Again, these charts with the colors, that's what it's visually going to look like on your work. You're not going to change colors in each row. Hopefully that makes sense. The color change happens with that double crochet when you go down and you cover up the green, or you cover up the pink or the cream or whatever. That is how you get that color change. That being said, we're going to switch over to a different mosaic crochet pattern. And I have it right here. Let's make it a little smaller. I got to make this. Got to make this one a little bit resize. So this is going to end up forming a wavy, zigzaggy kind of line when we do this. I'm going to move all of this away, and I'm going to use different colors, and hopefully these colors are going to show up a lot better. Let me know if they do. We're going to use this bright green and this hot pink. I think they might show up a little bit better. So we're going to start with our hot pink. And it's the same width as the previous piece. So we're going to do 35 chains, because it's 34 stitches across. Now in this pattern, you'll notice here on the left and right, you will get whatchamacallit. You'll see it'll be a yellow, then a green, a yellow, then a green. That is just telling you, for those left and right columns, that is telling you what color you're going to switch to. So basically, every other row, we're going to switch a color. That's all. That's just a notation for that. So we're going to chain 35. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. Just like I did previously. Here, let me move this up a little. We're going to single crochet into every chain, starting with the second chain from the hook. Just like you normally would in any other project that you're doing, single crochet. Now, this is the boring part, just doing singles into a chain without splitting your yarn. Hopefully this will show up a lot better on camera than those other colors were. Couple more stitches. Alrighty. I'm at the end of the row. Again, we're going to finish. So to finish, I'm going to chain 1 and cut, pull through. We're good. So now we're going to change colors on this next row. Okay. me get my bright green, make a standing single. I'm going to do a regular single crochet into that very first stitch through both loops. If the hook will go in. Alrighty. Then our pattern does not have any X's on this row. So that means the entire row will be single crochets, and they will be back loop only. Oh yeah, you definitely can see these colors. I don't know about the hot pink, but I know about the green, and there's a couple other colors. I want to thank Claim Miko. There was a bunch of cotton yarn that she did not like to work with, so she ended up donating them. So I appreciate that, and these colors are wonderful for stream. There's a couple colors a little dark. I think the purple and then I think a red or whatever. It might be a little dark, but these bright citrusy colors work very well. So I'm just doing single crochet back loop only. And this pattern only has two colors, so we're going to alternate between the pink and the green. Split the yarn. This yarn is cotton, so it does have a tendency to split a little more. Alrighty, now we can do our regular single in that last stitch, chain one, and I'm going to cut, pull through. So that's pretty simple. Now, row 3 is where we are going to work our pattern. Again, I'm going to start with a standing single crochet into our very first stitch. Tighten that up a little. A little on the loose side, but that's okay. Alrighty. So we are on row where it says 23. Whoops. Where it says 23 here. It's the first row with those X's. So we just did one stitch. And now the next two are double crochets. So that means we're going to drop down. We're not going to go into the green. We're going to go into the pink. And do a double crochet. And then there's one right next to it. So go into the very next one. Okay. And now the next three are singles. But if we look on the back, we're going to skip those two because these double crochets are covering up those two stitches. So the next three are singles. And again, singles are back loop only. 2, 3. The next two are doubles. And that's what this whole row is. 2 doubles, 3 singles. 2 doubles, 3 singles. So now we're going to do a double. We're not going to go into that green. We're going to go one row below into that front loop of that pink stitch and do our double, and then one right next to it. If we look, we're going to skip those 2 green those 2 stitches there, because these pink ones are going to end up hiding it. And then the next 3, 2, 3 are single crochets. The next 2 are double, so not in the green, but the one they're going to go 1 row below into that front loop, and then we want one right next to it. So the next one over again in that pink row. Don't do anything in those 2 green stitches because they're being hidden by those doubles. And next 3, it's singles. Same thing, 2 doubles. So we're going to go 2 rows below, so into the pink. And one right next to it. Again, we're not doing anything in those 2 stitches because they're being hidden. And the next 3 get singles, back loop only singles. Same pattern over and over again for this row. This is what we're making so far. This is what it kind of looks like. And all we're doing is changing colors on each row. We're not changing in the middle of the row. Now the back side will look more regular, more traditional stripes, but that's the right side. So you get this, it's overlay because the stitches overlay the previous row. So you're going to get this, it is a little bit thicker in those areas. You're going to get this cool geometric design. There are some really outrageous mosaic crochet patterns out there that is like mind-boggling, but a lot of it is based on this. There are some variations, but a lot of it is all based on this. There's a YouTuber, I forgot her name, I think she's in Iceland. She does a lot of mosaic crochet blankets that are just like, just so amazed at looking at them, but then figuring out how they're made is pretty interesting. So now I'm at the end, and now I have to do 2 doubles. I'll have to link her YouTube page in the Discord. It's this really long Icelandic name, and I can't pronounce it. It starts with a T. So now we're at the end here, and this is going to be our border stitch, and that's going to go, it's going to be a single, and it's going to go through both loops. Chain 1, because the chain 1 will be my locking stitch to lock it in place. So that is row number 3, and that alone looks kind of cool. And now we're going to switch back to our green, because this pattern just switches colors every row. It's just a two color repeat. Okay. I'm going to start with a standing single again into my very first stitch. And now our pattern, even though the color squares are different, because the colors are going to look different, don't worry about that right now. But the next row has 3 blocks. So that when we did one of them, so the next 2 are going to be single crochet. Whoop, don't wrap. They're going to be single crochets, back loop only. 2. Now the next one is a double. So we're going to skip the pink one, and we're going to go into the front loop of this green stitch, which is right here. Let me make certain. Hold on. Sometimes you have to shift things around. I want to double check this. Let me see real quick. It's into this green stitch right there, because there's an X above it. Now this next one, there's no X, so the next one is a single, so it's back loop only. And then the next one is a double. So we're not going to go into the pink. We're going to go one row below into that green stitch. And I know this sounds confusing. This is what we're making. We're making this. It's gonna make sense, and you'll see the pattern as we go further. So the next two are single crochets. Again, they're back loop only. And now the next one is a double crochet. Which again, you're going to skip that pink row. You're going to go down one below. The next one is a single. And then the next one's a double. Next two are singles. Next one's a double. There we go. The next one's a single. And this just happens to be the pattern I'm doing. Each pattern is going to be different. And the next one's a double. Hopefully I haven't lost everybody. The next two are each going to be singles. Again, remember, singles are back loop only. Now we have a double. Into the skip down, we drop down. The next one is a single, so we go into the top of that stitch. And the next one's a double, so we drop down. And this is what we're starting to make. Looking kind of cool. Next two are singles. This one pattern probably won't really start to look like anything until we get a couple more rows going. Next one is a double, so we're going to drop down to the second row. Then the next stitch is a single. The next one's a double. Means we drop down. And the next two are singles. Next is a double. Single. And then we have a double. And the next two are singles. And we're at the edge. The edge stitch is a regular normal single where you go through both loops, chain one, cut our strand, and pull through. So that is what we have at row number 4. And the whole time, the only time we change colors is the beginning of the row. And you're getting this color work. Speaking of changing colors, we're going to go back to our pink. Again, to start our row, regular single crochet in that first stitch. I happen to be doing a standing single crochet. Get my tails and everything going the right way. Alrighty, so that's our first stitch. So this row here, it wants us to do a total of 4 stitches before we do a double. So we've done 1. The next 3 are going to be singles. 1, 2, and 3. And now we're here. I don't know how well it's showing up, but the next one will be a double crochet. So we're not going to go into the pink one, in the green one. We're going to drop down to the pink. And now we can do 4 singles. And we're going to have another ad break coming up here really, really soon. I will be back after this ad. If I can move my cursor. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for sitting through the ad break. Oh, let me move this out of the way because we don't need that anymore. And hey there, Clay Miko, how are you? Whoops, I just lost my ball of yarn. Yep, it's going to be I'm calling it a wavy line pattern. I don't know what the exact pattern is called. But it's this geometric pattern. And it's Mosaic crochet. You're exhausted? Oh, I bet you are. Alrighty, so we just did our 4 single crochets, and that correspond. We're on row number where it says 25. It's not the 25th row. It's just I put both patterns in the same chart. So now we're going to do a double crochet, and then 4 singles, a double, then 4, and so on until we get to the end. So we've done our 4 single crochets, and again, if you're doing single crochet and overlay mosaic, you're doing back loop only. And if you're doing double, you're not going to go into the immediate row below. You're going to go one below that. So not into the green row in this case. You're going to go into the pink. And again, since that, when I was doing those rows, we were doing back loop only. So now we have a front loop that's available. You go through that front loop to do your double crochet. And now the next 4 are singles. And again, they're back loop only. 2, 3, and 4. Now we're getting ready to do a double. So we don't go into the green, we go 1 row below into the front loop of that pink stitch. And now the next 4 are singles. Again, back loop only. 1, 2. Oh, that was number 3. I'm sorry. I started counting weird. That's number 4. Again, our double. Drop down. Get the pink. Do our double. Now the next 4 are singles. 1, 2, 3, and number 4. So it's starting to look like something. And when I mean wavy line, this is the wavy line. It's going to be the zigzaggy square wavy line. That is the pattern. She's extending the time limit again through August. Oh, wow. All right, I just did a double, and now the next 4 will be singles. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Getting near the end of this row. Now we're going to do a double, so we're not going to go in the green. We're going to go 1 row below into the pink. Pretty sure I'm going to need a knee replacement by the time we're done. Oh, let's hope not. And now the next 4 will be singles, but the very last one will be a regular single. Because remember, an edge stitch, you go through both loops. It just finishes it off a lot nicer if you do that way. So all the other ones are back loop only. And then this last one will be a regular single where you go through both loops, chain 1, and I'm going to cut and pull. And so far, that is almost half of our pattern. So it makes this really cute, I don't know about cute, but it makes an interesting geometric. And again, all the color changes we've done have only been at the beginning of the row. We have not changed color in the middle of the row. So the next row, and again, we're alternating each time we end a row, we switch colors in this pattern. And actually, most mosaic crochet, you will switch colors, not necessarily just 2 colors like the one we did earlier. We had 4 colors. Unless you're doing something to set up the bottom and you will do multiple rows of 1 color. You can do that if you want to. All right. So on the pattern here, we are at this row here where it's all yellow except the edge are green. Don't worry about that color. We're going to do green, and the entire row are single crochets. Again, back loop only unless it's the edges. There'll be no double crochets in this row. So this row will be just like the very first row that we did when we worked into the chain. So our first stitch, again, is a regular single where you go through both loops. All the other ones, except the last one, are back loop only. You like this a lot, I'm going to need to come over so you can give me an in-person lesson when I have enough brown powder. Yeah, it's really cool. And Mosaic, and this is overlay Mosaic, which is different than inline. I've never done inline. But overlay Mosaic, you can do these geometric patterns. You can also do lettering. All different types of things that have a geometric and color work. What does the back look like? The back looks like that. There is a right and a wrong side. And again, with this, you weren't here earlier. With this, you do not flip your work. You work, if you're right-handed, you work your rows, each row right to left, right to left. You never flip. If you're left-handed, obviously you do left to right. But there is a wrong side and there's a right side. And the key thing is, regardless of what your pattern is, if it's a single crochet, you're doing back loop only, with the exception of the edges. And then when you do doubles, you don't go into the row right. Let's say I was going to do a double now, which we're not. If we're going to do a double, we don't go into that row that you normally would work in. You go one row below, and it extends. It'll cover up that stitch from the very next row below. But the row I'm on is all singles, so that's all back loop except the ends. Again, the ends are to, and I've said it how many times tonight, are regular singles through both loops, and it's just to make the edges a little more finished and nicer. Earlier tonight, I recapped Apache tiers that we had done back in the winter. Apache tiers is a type of overlay mosaic crochet. It's a pretty easy pattern because it's the same. You do everything the same. You're just off by one stitch. Everything moves over by one stitch. You started your mom's cell phone holder. Nice. So she picked out yarn, I'm assuming. So I'm here at the end, and I'm just going to do a regular single crochet through both loops, chain one, and I'm going to cut and pull through. And I don't know if you've noticed, Clee Miko, I'm using, I know the green, I don't know about the pink. I'm using the yarn you gave me because it definitely shows up on camera. So that row was pretty easy. That's all single crochets. Essentially what we're doing now is we're going to repeat this, but the pattern is inverted, I guess you would say. So the next, and we have 3 more rows left. Yeah, this lime green really shows up on camera with the lighting and my background. So we're switching. We finished a row, so it means we switch colors, and this is only a 2-color pattern. And again, we're going to start with a standing single, or however you want to start, but that first stitch gets a single crochet. Let me just get it started. Alrighty, so we're here where it says, let me undo that. I can easily click on, we're at the top. I can't make this any, I can't scroll up anymore. I can't scroll up anymore. So where it says 27, I don't know if you can read this on your device, but this is row number 27, even though it's not 27 rows. It's calling for 4 singles, because a plain square means a single. Don't worry about the colors right now. So there's one, and then the next three will be back loop only singles. 2 and 3. Now it wants us to do a double crochet. So we don't go into the green, we go one row below. We do that. Now we do 4 back loop singles. Again, we're going to skip that green one that's behind this double. So we'd have the double, we open it up, there's one behind it. Because remember, we didn't go into that stitch, we went one row below. So we're skipping that one, and the next 4 are singles. Back loop only singles. 3 and 4. The next is a double, so you don't go into the green. You go one row below into the pink and pick up the front loop only. Skip that one that we didn't go into. And then the next 4 are back loop only singles. 2, 3, and 4. The next is a double. Skip that green, but you go one row below. And now the next 4 are singles. 2, 3, 4. And this is what we're getting so far. Hold up. Wait a minute. Wait, whoa, 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 whoa. I think I messed up. Oh, no. No, we're good. Okay. I think we might have messed up. Give me one moment. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. That should be lined up with that. 2, 3, 4. How come that one's not lining up? Uh-oh. Yeah, these are not lining up. I think I made a mistake. So I'm going to take this row out. Because they should line up with these here. Because they're all in a line. Did I add a stitch somewhere? Okay, let's do this. Do this again. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oh, I was off by 1. I was off by 1. I had only 3 in the beginning. I didn't have 4. Okay. Glad I caught that. So now we're doing a double. We're not going in here. We're actually going into this stitch here. That's right above this double crochet. That actually is the front loop of this double crochet. I'm like, they should line up. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to go in. We're not going to go into the green. We're going to go right below, and that is the front loop of that double crochet. Next 4 are singles. 2, 3, and 4. Now we're double crochet. Again, anytime you double, you drop down. 2, 3, and 4. And again, after this row, we only have 2 more rows for this pattern. I mean, you can do it as many rows as you want, but my sample's only 2 more rows. 2, 3, 4. When we get to the end of this row, I'll show you what it looks like. 2, 3, 4. Two, 3, and the very last one gets a regular, ordinary single. So that's what we have so far. There we go. Our doubles are lining up for this pattern. Now we're going to chain 1, cut through. Switch over to our green again. Let me turn this music down slightly. A little bit loud. After I get done these next 2 rows, yep, back on track. When I get done these next 2 rows, we're going to search the interwebs for some examples of really intricate and detailed mosaic crochet. I'll show you what some of the more interesting patterns look like. There's this one pattern for this blanket that I saw that I'm like, I might want to try that. I don't know about a full-size blanket, maybe a throw blanket. Okay, so now we need 3 singles. So there's 1. And then the next 2 stitches are back loop only single. Oh, move the. And now we're going to have a double. This would be kind of cool for our temperature blanket. You'd have to figure out the measurements. You'd have to do a gauge swatch. Again, I would recommend doing gauge swatch for any temperature blanket so it doesn't get, the proportions aren't totally out of whack. Yeah, you'd have to play around with the pattern. So again, now we're having a double crochet. So we're going to skip that. We're going to go down 1 row. And now we have a single. So it's in the top of this double that we did previously. And now we have another double. So again, we're going to skip that stitch, go down to previous row. And now we have 4 singles. No, we don't. We have 2 singles. 1, 2. Now we have a double. I think what's throwing me off, this yarn isn't as dense and fluffy, so the stitches get spread out easier, and I lose track of what stitch should be aligned with what stitch. So there's a single there. The next one should be a double, so we drop down. The next 2 are singles. Again, they're back loop only. Next one's a double. Next one's a single, back loop only. Next one's a double. But again, if you just always remember that singles are back loop only and doubles are the second row down, front loop only. That's how most overlay mosaic crochet is. Occasionally you'll find a pattern that will have a chain here and there. But there's no intricate, it's not like you have to worry about a popcorn or a picot stitch or some complicated combination of stitches, and it's just placement of where the base of the stitch goes, pretty much. Oh, no, a double crochet does not go in the top there. I was just talking about placement, and I wanted to place a double crochet in the wrong spot. Alrighty, we're almost done this row. And then we have one more row after this. These patterns look really, really good with super contrasting colors like I'm using here, because it really shows off the geometric work. So that's what we have so far. And one last row for this sample. Yeah, I'll have to find that YouTube channel. Like I said, she's in Iceland, and she has like lots of different mosaic blanket patterns, like not just on her channel, but she will sell the patterns too. So this last row is a single, the next two are doubles. So we're going to go into these pink stitches. 1 and 2. The next 3 are going to be singles. 1, 2, 3. The next 2 are doubles. Yeah, this is kind of like one of the previous rows. It's just opposite. So it's 2 doubles. Hey there, Anna. How are you? 3 singles. 2, 3 Oopsies. 3 singles. Now 2 doubles. And again, doubles are dropping down to the second row. 3 singles. Again, singles are back loop only. And now our doubles, 2 doubles. Trying to get it. It's because it's cotton yarn. I'm having a little difficulty trying to get into the stitch sometimes, because it's just the way that the nature of the fiber is. So that was 3 singles. This is 2 doubles. Pretty close to the end of this row. Now we have 3 singles, 2 doubles, 1 and 2, 3 singles, 2 doubles, and our last stitch of our sample is a regular ordinary single crochet, because it's there on the end. Chain 1, cut, pull through. You'd obviously weave in your ends however you weave in your ends, and that, move the hook. That is our cute little, I'm calling it a wavy line. I don't know if they're a zigzag. I don't know if there's a name for this pattern. It's just a cute little geometric pattern. It's so easy. Yeah, it's pretty and it's so easy to do. Again, you're only working on the right side of the fabric. You never flip. You work, if you're right-handed, right to left. If you're left-handed, you work left to right. And single crochets are, with the exception of the end, single crochets are back loop only. Double crochets, you drop down 2 rows, so the second row down, and front loop only. That's overlay mosaic crochet pretty much. So that's the right side. That's the pretty side. That's the back side. The back side's not attractive. So this is not a reversible pattern. But this alone, I can see this maybe about this wide or so, roughly. I wouldn't go any wider. Would be a cute, if you do it longer, could be a cute belt, a headband. But again, you could do this in much larger, in like a blanket, in any other type of crocheted item. It doesn't have to be just long and narrow. You can do it as many rows as you want. So that is overlay mosaic. we're going to go to an ad. While we're at ad, I'm going to look up, do a little search of some examples of some other types of mosaic crochet patterns besides this, something a little more intricate. So I will be back right after this ad break. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for Again, sitting through that ad. While we were at ad break, I did a little Googling and found some really interesting mosaic crochet patterns. This here, the one I found, this is on Etsy. It's I'm not going to show the whole. Well, it's to buy the pattern. That is Mosaic Crochet. That is pretty much based on the technique what we were doing tonight, except the pattern is obviously different than what I was doing. So let me see. It doesn't look like it's crochet. It looks woven. What's another example? This is all mosaic. That was the one we just showed. This is kind of cool. That's mosaic crochet. It has that stained glass look to it. Yeah. And it's pretty much just singles and doubles. It's where you place the stitch. This one is really pretty. That one is gorgeous. Again, these are patterns that they're selling. That's an up. Let me see if we can find an up close picture. Yeah. And I think it has to do with the type of the yarn that they're using and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is mosaic crochet in the round, which I don't know how to do. And that's how they're getting the colors change like that. Not that I'm not into that, but that is mosaic crochet. Yeah. Just looking at some of these pictures here. Oh, actually, let me pull it all the way on screen. It's like that is gorgeous. To me, if I didn't know any better, I would think that was a woven piece of like a tapestry or something. Got too many tabs open. Let me close some of my tabs. Let's see some other things. There's one with skulls. That's kind of cute. This dragon is mosaic. The one with the bookcase, that's mosaic. So there's all different. You can get really detailed with it. What I was showing tonight is pretty basic. Pretty basic. Oh, this one here. There's a YouTube channel. She does mosaic crochet, but it's a little bit different. She's got variations of the stitches to make it more curved, like the shape's more curved. So she's got, let me see if we can go to her page, her Etsy page. Oh, a lobster. That's cute. There's flamingos. There are very talented people. Oh, wow. The irises. I really like that one. Anyway, that's our little intro to mosaic crochet. So we started with our Apache tiers. Oh, and then, oh, I'm still connected there. This here is the one that we did on stream. And I just want to show, if you're doing Apache tiers, your stitch it you could have it so they're going diagonally that way, or you can do it the other way where they're going diagonally the other way. It all depends on where you place your drop down tier, your double crochet. So that's pretty much as basic as you can get. This was a little more involved. I don't feel like ending the string right now. Hold on. It dropped. Fine. Put it over to the side. If it wants to stay on the floor, it can stay on the floor. I'm not going to argue with some yarn. Alrighty. So I don't feel like ending the stream right away. I'm going to work more on the... Let me move this to... I'm going to work more on the blanket, and I can turn this light on. This is the blanket from the marathon stream last week. I've worked more on it off stream. And our local chapter of Project Linus, we dropped off a bunch of blankets that Grammy had made. And I let them know that in the future I will be making and donating some blankets of my own. And they were happy to hear that. So Sunday, when we left stream, we only had this portion done. We had the center spot done. And for some reason, it doesn't look as nice on camera. I think it looks horrible on camera. In person, it looks so much better. And then off stream, and I can't show it all. I'm zoomed out as far as possible. But again, it's the same repeat over and over again. You just do more stitches in it, so it's the same width. So I did another repeat, because again, it's the field here, this popcorn border, I guess. And I did another one. Now I'm on my third repeat, and I've got that much yarn. That's what I'm working with now, and I've got that much more. I have other ones that are close. They're not the same color. It might be noticeable if I use the other ones. It might not be. So I'm going to keep going as big as I can. I'm going to measure it from the so-called border. From the so-called border to the so-called border. That's at 28 inches. And their minimum is at least 30 by 30. I'm definitely going to go bigger than 30 by 30. So if anybody's interested, I posted... Did I post it in here? I think I posted the link. I thought I posted the link for this pattern. I'm trying to see on the Discord where I posted it. That's for Vintage Crochet. That's the marathon. Okay. That's the doily pattern that I did the other night. Just double checking. I could have swore I posted... Posted the picture of this. I don't think I posted the link. I'll have to do that off stream. I'll post the link for the pattern for this blanket. It is called the... I need to bring it up. I know most of it by heart. It's just the corners where each row starts and stops are slightly different. It is the Endlessly Elegant blanket. It was on Ravelry. Oh, I got to start a new row. I got to remember which row I'm on. Okay. On that one. But Grammy's the one who found this pattern and told me about it, and I thought it would be perfect. So for a little while, we'll just stitch and chit chat if you all want to chit chat. Let's see. Make sure I'm going on the right row, because I had to frog out one of these rows yesterday or today. Okay, we're in row 24. Well, the 24th repeat row. So what is everybody working on? Oops. This yarn snags. Somewhat snags. This is one of those patterns that, for the majority of it, you don't really have to pay that much attention to. Almost mindless. Finished the table runner, but haven't taken pictures yet. I made a mermaid. Oh, like a cat mermaid? That's got to be adorable. Yeah, I would definitely like to see the pictures of the table runner, too, when you could get pictures of it. Oh, that's adorable. Here, let me get the come on. I'm having technical difficulties as usual. Here is a picture of Anna's mermaid. That is cute. See, I've never done amigurumi before. I don't know if it's something I would like or not. A different yarn than I was used to, but it's super soft. It looks super soft. You did a really good job. Super adorable. Alrighty. I just said I don't have to think about this pattern, and here I am trying to figure out what I was doing. Yeah, it looks like a plushy, almost a chenille type yarn. Was working on hand tying a quilt. Now back to the yarn eater blanket. Yeah, the blanket that Grammy is working on, I really like. It's got some puff stitches. It's like a different puff stitch than normal puff. Her quilts and blankets are amazing. That's what the people at Project Linus said the other day. And I don't know if I'm not certain if Project Linus isn't. I mean, I know it's not in every country, obviously. I know they're in the US and Canada. I don't know if they're in any other nation. But again, it is a nonprofit that accepts handmade blankets for children in need, children of all ages from 0 to 18. And they take crocheted, knitted, quilted, a bunch of other different types of blankets. But they have to be handmade and brand new, and they want easy to care for materials, like no wool because of taking care of it and of any allergies. If I go a little too fast sometimes with this yarn, it'll snag because it's got a strand. It's like the whitish, shiny part of the yarn that kind of goes around it. It makes like a crimped texture. Sometimes that little strand will snag. But I like this yarn. I like the texture, and when it's worked up, it's very squishy and tactile. I've got to get so many tabs open. Or when I was searching that Mosaic crochet, I think I'm going to go to the corner here, and I think we're going to end up stopping. I was going to go longer, but it is getting later. And I'm thirsty. I need to get something to drink. Tomorrow, I don't really have anything planned for stream. So we're going to be working on this, and I guess we can just hang out and chit chat. Let me look at let me get my calendar up. I had my calendar ready, but everything's hidden. Tuesday, we are going to do beaded crochet. Tuesday, we're going to do some flat panel beaded crochet. And then next Saturday, we will do some beaded crochet jewelry. So we're going to do something that's not a blanket or things that are not for a blanket or a hat or a shawl or whatever. We're going to be venturing out and doing some jewelry, which is very fun. I really like doing those. I haven't done those in a while. So if anybody is interested in any of that and wants to crochet along when we do beaded crochet, technically you can use any size beads you want and any size yarn. I'm going to be using some crochet cotton, so the real thin stuff, and some glass seed beads They're not going to be real super tiny, so it's not like magnifying glass type beads. So if anybody wants to get any supplies before then, and if not, that's okay too. I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going to put this stitch. It's in this one. So I will be using crochet cotton and small beads. So we will bring out the magnifying glass for that one. I do have some larger beads, but not enough to really show anything off. Actually, I do have some larger beads that I could use. Either way, I'm going to do both. So that's what's coming up for this week. Thursday, Throwback Thursday, will be our mystery stream. Again, we're bringing that one back for the second mystery edging pattern that Grammy has picked out for us, which I have no idea even what it looks like or where to begin. Let me move that to the side. Again, everybody check out the YouTube channel. All of my streams are uploaded to the YouTube right after I stream. Also check out the Discord. We're posting interesting, cool, fun things over there all the time. You could check out the per-made that Anna just posted. I will post pictures of things I've made, some of my samples from time to time. Oh, excuse me. Alrighty, with that being said, let me check something here. We're going to go raid somebody. And they're not doing a craft. So if anybody's not interested in that, that's fine. You don't have to join the raid. And I will chat with you all tomorrow. Tomorrow's Sunday. So we will be working more on my charity donation blanket. So until next time, everybody, until tomorrow, everybody have a good evening and happy crafting. And we're waiting for this raid to